Here we are, guys. It is almost time for the trade deadline, so I'm going to give you another episode of the Fantasy Goods Exchange. Stay tuned, because it's coming up next. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Goods Exchange Edition. We got the trade deadline for most leagues coming up at the end of this week, so make sure that you like, subscribe, and leave us a comment, because I'm going to give you everything from somebody you need to buy high to somebody you need to buy low, and everything in between. Here we go, guys. Market's open, and I'm going to start off like I always do here with my buy high candidate, and that's going to be Aaron Jones. He is running back 8 on the season. He's put up 127.9 points on the season. He's put up double-digit points in every game he's played. This guy has been the running back you really want to own in this season. Now, why do I really want him? Obviously, he's dependable. He's in an offense that has 3 top players in Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, and Aaron Jones, and they just re-signed Aaron Jones to a 4-year deal this year, so obviously he's part of their long-term plans. Why I really like him is because he has an amazing playoff schedule. He goes against Detroit, who's the number 1 matchup, Carolina, who's the number 5 matchup, and then finishes in the finals with Tennessee, who's the number 13 matchup, which is a little tougher, but that's still a top half of the league matchup for a running back. And the last time that he played Detroit was that huge game he had, where he put up 45.6 points. So I like having a matchup where I know I could get that kind of fantasy production from a player in the playoffs. So what's he worth? Obviously, running back 1, top 5 running back. I know he's running back 8. He's worth a top 5. He missed 2 games. So, add another 25, 30 points in there. That's probably where he'd be. And that's being generous, not giving him a 20-point game. But I'd say that, he's worth a top 5 running back, so buy high. I mean, at this point during the playoff push, you really don't want to be giving up your big players. So, obviously, if somebody's looking to get rid of Aaron Jones, if they're in a bad spot, they're going to want more value for their guys. So I'd try and offer something like Jonathan Taylor, who's a top 20 running back. He's running back 19 on the season. And then maybe give him a top wide receiver like Terry McLaurin, who's wide receiver 12 right now. And pretty much the only option there in Washington, to be honest with you. I think a combination like that might intrigue somebody who has needs and has Aaron Jones and is looking to offload him. But I'd even throw another player in there, or a higher player than Jonathan Taylor, if I can make him Aaron Jones. It'll be worth it. He's just a phenomenal player. He'll get you the points you need in these playoffs. All right, next we're going to talk about buying low. And this might surprise some people because it's a big name. But buy low on Christian McCaffrey. Look, Christian McCaffrey owners are probably panicked. All right? They haven't had him all season for the most part since week 2. He comes back last week, has a 37-point game, and now he's out for another 3 weeks with a shoulder injury. Okay? So here's what I'm going to tell you. You can't buy him for what he's worth, okay? He's worth a running back 1. I mean, even only playing 3 games on the season, he's still running back 26 with only playing 3 games. That's insane. All right, his 3 games were 28, 23, and 37. This is the production you get out of this guy. But you can't buy high. You can't, because you're not going to have him till the playoffs. I mean, if you're in a position where you do that, shit, go do it. But most people aren't. So I'm going to go out to these panicked owners, and I'm going to offer them something like David Johnson, who's running back 22 right now, Mike Evans, who's wide receiver 19, and maybe throw in a little sweetener in there. Somebody that you're looking to get rid of anyway. And McCaffrey doesn't have a bad schedule in the playoffs either. He goes against Denver, Green Bay, and Washington. Now, Denver's not a great matchup, but they're a crappy team. I could see Carolina getting ahead and it being a good game script for CMC. Then you got Green Bay, who everybody runs on. And then you got Washington in the championships, who, again, they're a crappy team. So that's going to be good game script for a good team like Carolina and CMC to run on. So I like to go and get CMC if I can. I've tried in a lot of places. I think you should try too. But don't pay too much, because like I said, you're not going to have him for the playoff push, but you should have him back for the playoffs. All right, next I'm going to get on to my sell high candidate. All right, and this one's not a huge name, but he's somebody that's done well. Brandin Cooks. He's wide receiver 28 right now. He's had 4 straight games with double-digit fantasy points. But after this week with Cleveland, his matchups get pretty tough. He plays Indy twice and Chicago, which are pretty tough defenses. And look, I have a couple concerns with this guy. Look, Will Fuller did not get traded at the NFL trade deadline, which would have made Brandin Cooks a keeper without a doubt. But a big thing that bothered me about that wasn't just that they didn't trade Fuller. But Deshaun Watson came out and said there would have been hell to pay if they did trade Fuller, which shows me that Watson really likes Fuller. So that is the number one wide receiver in this offense, and it's not Cooks. And my other thing is Cooks' injury history. He is literally one concussion away from having his career be done. So I'm looking to trade him high. So what can you get for him, all right? I know I said he's wide receiver 28 right now, so he's a top 30 wide receiver, not even a wide receiver 2 right now, but I think we could get that for him. I think we could get something in the wide receiver 2 range. You know, like maybe you could go out and find somebody who's tired of Melvin Gordon and go get Melvin Gordon for Brandon Cooks, and that would help you out if you needed a running back and you were stocked up and had Brandon Cooks there. But I just don't love Brandon Cooks. His schedule gets a little tough. Fuller's the guy there, and Brandon Cooks just got injury problems. I want to move away from that because that's the worst thing that could happen to you during the playoff pushes. You have a player that you could have traded higher and gotten something for, and then all of a sudden he goes down, and now you're stuck having to fill a spot with a waiver claim. So sell Brandon Cooks high, and now sell low. Now guys, I don't even know if I could say sell this guy low, because if you can't even trade this guy, which I don't even know if you can, to be honest with you, you got to drop him because he's just been terrible. And it's a big surprise to me because I thought with Cam Newton there, he would have been like a poor man CMC with how great he's been in PPR. But James White, he is running back 51 right now. 51! You know how I was talking about that Christian McCaffrey trade before? Maybe you could sell that line where, oh, maybe he's a poor man's Christian McCaffrey and use him as a sweetener in that deal. But I don't even know if they'll bite on that because I wouldn't want to touch James White with a 10-foot pole right now. Now, he's missed only 2 games and he's still this low. It's not even like he's missed a lot of time. CMC missed the whole season and is running back 26. James White is running back 51. I know CMC's a top player, but James White was a top 10 running back in fantasy at one point, so it's kind of sad to see him drop off like that. But he hasn't had more than 5 carries in a game, and he hasn't had more than 9 targets in a game. So with Cam behind the helm, he's pretty much useless in my opinion. If you can, I can't even give you a scenario where you can trade him, but he's sweetener. He's a kicker. You know, you throw him in a trade to try and sweeten it up a little bit and get the other guy to bite, you know. So that's the best I can give you. But James White, if you can't sell him low, drop his ass because he ain't worth a roster spot at this point. And finally, I'm going to finish off with a hold, and that would be for me, Joe Mixon, who's running back 20 right now. I know a lot of people are, worried that he might not play this week. He's been injured. A lot of guys drafted him as a running back 1. He's running back 20. Look, calm down, slow down. Do not trade Joe Mixon away. In the games he's played, he's done very well. Even had a 40-point game at one point, just like Aaron Jones did. And look at what Giovanni Bernard is doing in this offense. You don't think Joe Mixon would do just as good, if not better, if he was in? All right, look, you got to hold him right now because his upcoming schedule for the playoffs and the playoff push is amazing. He goes against Washington, Dallas, New York Giants, which are, the abysmal NFC East, and Houston, whose defense is nothing. I mean, they do have Pittsburgh in there twice and Miami, but I still think that Joe Mixon puts up RB1 numbers in those games, 15 points or more. So you got to hold on to this guy. He's worth keeping. Trust me. Hold Joe Mixon. All right, guys, that'll do it for the Fantasy Goods Exchange. Thank you for watching. I hope I helped you out this week, especially with the trade deadline coming up for most leagues. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions for lineups, trades, pickups, anything, get at us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at the Fantasy Goods, and shoot us a message or a comment with your question or anything you want to ask us fantasy-wise, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But thanks again for watching, guys. This was the Fantasy Goods, and we got the goods.